The Futurity was more of a procession in the end, but the Starlet just run 2 races later. That was a proper horse race. Let's take a look at the field. Again, only 6 of them were signed on. Post-time favorite was Chasing Yesterday, the little sister to Triple Crown winner American Pharoah. She really hadn't done a heck of a lot wrong in her career. The only stumbling block was out at Saratoga in her second lifetime start. They shipped her out to the East Coast. Otherwise, all she did was win races. So coming in here, she had some things that she needed to answer. 2 turns for the first time, facing some other legitimately solid runners in here. You had Mother, the other Baffert in this spot. You had Vibrance, who ran a nice solid third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies most recently. You had Oxy Lady coming in from New York on the heels of a mid-90s buyer speed figure. So you had a number of interesting horses in here if you were so inclined to take a shot against the post-time favorite. Ultimately, you had a 3-horse stretch duel, and here it is.
For the stretch, and the top 4 line up as they straighten away. Mother cuts the corner, sold it, trying to press on by Mother, and now Chasing Yesterday is hitting her best stride, and she's got clear sailing down the stand side. Anaya Allrob in with a huge upset chance. Mother all out. Anaya Allrob between fillies. Chasing Yesterday the stand side. Any one of these 3. Chasing Yesterday and Naya Allrob. These 2 going on. Chasing Yesterday, maybe a nose in front. Chasing Yesterday wins the Starlet over a...
Chasing Yesterday prevails at odds of 7-5 by a head over Anaya Allrob. That was a very impressive effort from her at 30-1. And then the third place finisher was the pace setter. Mother, the other Baffert in here. She finishes third at odds of 5-2. Let's take a look at the Starlet winner. Chasing Yesterday. She's 4 or 5 lifetime, over $324,000 in career earnings. Owned and bred by Summerwind Equine in Kentucky, trained by Bob Baffert, ridden to victory by Drayden Van Dyke. You can see the pedigree at the bottom of the horse card. She is by Tappet, out of that familiar name with the dam there. Her name is Little Princess Emma. She was by Yankee Gentleman, and Little Princess Emma is the mom of American Pharoah. Again, making Chasing Yesterday, for those of you that have been living under a rock, a half-sister to the Triple Crown champion American Pharoah. Chasing Yesterday only earned an 82 buyer, winning the Grade 1 Starlet, as did Anaya Allrob. And Mother, she earned an 81. So, you can look at this a few different ways. The fact that the race came back, let's say it's not slow, but it's not fast. Let's just say it came back a fair number, 82. It's not going to blow anyone's socks off. I thought it was an impressive effort from all 3 of the top 3 finishers. Let's start off with Chasing Yesterday. The fact that she was as wide as she was every step of the way, first time going 2 turns at a track that she'd never run at before. Then she's able to overcome all that and dig in as gamely as she did, and she galloped out okay, not great, but not terrible. I thought this was an impressive effort, and the figure may be a little bit light, but to me, and Drayden Van Dyke said so in post-race comments, saying that she can move forward out of this. She'll be better for this race because she was tired afterwards. She ran a mile and an eighth in a mile and a 16th race. Thought this was a promising effort. She finished in 30.91 as opposed to Anaya Allrob, who came home in 31.10, and Mother, who came home in 31.48. Anaya Allrob. This is a horse at 30-1, the second longest shot in a 6-horse field, ridden by Mike Smith. In between horses throughout, I like the fact that she was able to stay on the way that she did, and she was able to get up past the pace setter Mother. And okay, so she couldn't quite hold off Chasing Yesterday. This at least makes me think that there's some potential here. And I didn't love her chances coming into this. Thought she was just too slow, plain and simple. Look, if you look at it like this and say she is on an upward trajectory, sure, she's certainly a 3-year-old or soon-to-be 3-year-old filly that can have a say in some of these races should any of the other big girls move out of town. And I think the connections have to be thrilled. She's Grade 1 placed now, as is Mother. Now, Mother, in the grand scheme of things, I thought this was a fine effort considering she was the one cutting out the fractions, 23-1, 47 flat, 11 for 3/4, stopped the clock in 42-2. So considerably slower than what the boys did just 2 races earlier. But the fact that Mother was able to stick around and only lose by, less than half a length, when she was hounded throughout by Sold It, who ended up fading way back to finish 5th, I thought this was a good effort from Mother, one that she can move forward with, and she galloped out just as well as the top 2 did. So I thought all around, the top 3 all ran very well, gave credible efforts, and we'll find out where they all end up going forward from here. I'm sure there's a scenario where they end up running into one another before a race like the Kentucky Oaks, should that be the goal and ultimately where they all end up. And if they don't, maybe we'll see them all the first Friday in May at Churchill Downs. Oxy Lady, disappointing effort. You had to look at that number coming out of that race from Aqueduct in the fog, where she earned that 94 or 95. You had to look at it with side eye because no one had come out of that race with any sort of real effort. And then prior to that, none of them had even approached a number like that. She comes kind of back down to earth. 77 buyer. That seems a little bit more reasonable than that mid-90 buyer that she earned in that race at Aqueduct. And I'm sure that race is probably going to get tweaked just a little bit going forward. Sold It. She was the one that was up there contesting the pace throughout. I don't want to hold this against her. She was the longest shot in the field, and she's just in over her head in a race like this. The big disappointment in the race, though, was Vibrance, second choice. At no point did she really look like she was going to threaten. She was down on the inside, and I recognize that outside's where you want to be at Los Alamitos, but guess what? Mother was down on the inside throughout, and she stayed on. What happened to Vibrance? Another, I hate to keep going back to this. You have to think of it and say, all of these horses were cranked up and ready to go for the Breeders' Cup. Vibrance, another one. And afterward, and I know there were people that pointed out where you had Marley's Freedom come back and win her race at Aqueduct in her next start. And there was one other filly or horse, I can't remember off the top of my head, that came back and won their next start. You're right. Those two instances, that's the case. Let's also take a look at the Marley's Freedom piece with a little bit of a grain of salt. She's probably just been the best horse in that division all year, and she wasn't facing much in the race in New York. This is another instance. Vibrance, Restless Rider. They come out of those races, out of that Breeders' Cup Juvenile and fillies. That was the goal. This race, tacked onto it, was not necessarily the goal. With the rest of these horses, this was the goal. Just something that you always have to keep in mind. And not just necessarily for an instance like this, but just going forward, always think about what is the goal for connections. What are they looking for? You have to think about that with prep races as well. If you're looking at a race like, I'm making it up, the Jim Dandy, well, the Jim Dandy is all well and good if you were to win that. Everyone likes to win races at Saratoga. But the goal coming out of the Jim Dandy is to be ready to peak for the Travers. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies was the goal for Vibrance. The Starlet was the afterthought. The goal for Restless Rider was the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. The Pocahontas, or whatever that race was for the fillies at Churchill Downs, that was sort of the afterthought. And you figure you can just get by on talent alone. Sometimes when the lemon gets squeezed too dry, there's not enough there for these big races. And again, there are some decent horses that you're going against, particularly in a race like this where you're going to have to deal with Baffer, a two-headed monster. At the end of the day, chasing yesterday, Pharaoh's little sister does him proud, does the family proud. She gets the job done. She's a grade 1 winner now, going 2 turns. 82 buyer speed figure winning this year's Starlet. What else is new? Baffert sweeps the grade 1 races at Los Alamitos.